Welcome back to Hobby Jogger Elite, and welcome back to the marathon build for the fall of 2023, where I'll be racing a marathon in just 2 weeks from the time of recording, in 1 week from the time you are seeing this video. We are today recapping what I believe was my 15th week of marathon training. It's either 15 or 16. I've lost track at this point. It has been one of the longest training blocks I've ever done when it comes to preparing for a race in general, obviously for the marathon. I was looking back through some of my previous training logs because I've always kept track of my training, sort of planned everything on paper, by hand, on actual physical calendars. And my first ever training block for racing a marathon back through the winter and spring of 2021 was a full 20-week training block. I believe the race week was actually the 21st week of the lead up. So this is the second longest training block I have ever done. It's obviously not quite as long as that near 5-month buildup that I did then, but we've been training since July. It feels like I've just been in marathon training mode for as long as my memory goes back. And we are finally starting to wind down a bit. I am doing a 3-week taper approach this time, where the third week, or rather the first week of the taper, which was this past week of training, I decreased volume a little bit, 15, 16, 17% of my maximum mileage for this training block. Kept intensity the same, pretty much everything else the same. So it was sort of a gentle introduction to the taper, which can be jarring for a lot of people, and a lot of people get sort of thrown out of whack with their taper. I've certainly felt that before, whether it was on the super long end, which 3 weeks feels long for me to taper, but I think with how high of mileage I was maintaining, I was actually looking forward to a bit of a longer taper this time around. And I've gone as low as, 10 days out, really starting to reduce things, and that didn't feel like quite enough time. So while I encourage everybody to sort of try what works best for them, try different things across different training blocks, because everyone reacts to tapering differently. It also depends on how high or low of mileage you're doing, how frequently you do speed work or quality sessions throughout your weeks, all of that. Everybody works differently when it comes to the taper. So hopefully this time around we are sort of embracing the culmination of all the things that work for me, not just decreasing everything at once, rather being very intentional with how I sort of progress through that decrease in each element of my running. And the first week of the taper was a very solid week of training, a very solid final week of pretty high intensity, high volume workouts. So started the week off on the 23rd with an 8-mile, just under an hour long, steady run as per usual, hitting those sort of steady, moderate runs where I'm not quite getting down to marathon effort or marathon pace, but just sort of running with some good intention beyond an easy pace. Did a 9-mile, 70-minute easy run then on Tuesday. Most of my easy runs, easy efforts, I'm finding are falling somewhere between like 7:40 pace and like 8 flat pace. That's kind of where I am on a regular basis now with those. So that was just sort of a normal run for me. Follow that up on Wednesday with one of my final bigger Wednesday workouts of the block, which was a 4x2 mile threshold workout. And yeah, let's take a look at how that went. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the taper, one of the final workout Wednesdays of the training block. We are officially 2 weeks and I believe it's 4 days from the race, so 18 days out in total. I think the last training block, maybe even the last 2 training blocks, I've done a bit of a shorter taper and done only about 2 weeks, and actually I think peaked and did my peak long run workout 14 days from the actual race. So switching strategies a little bit, extending the taper again, but I feel like it being my 4th time around with training for a marathon, I'm a little better equipped. I know a little bit more about what works for me with the taper. Definitely tinkered with it each time around. Hopefully this is sort of the best of all worlds, because I find that if I decrease volume and the intensity of workouts all at the same time, I really feel quite odd in approaching the race. So we are reducing our weekly mileage this week from, last week we ran 88 miles. This week will be about 70, probably, in that ballpark. The sort of quality sections of the workouts themselves will be quite similar, but intensity will be right there with what it has been. Just overall volume in total throughout the week will be reduced. So hopefully that keeps me feeling sharp throughout this week, going into what will be even more reduction in both volume and intensity next week, as we're in the sort of 2-week range. But yeah, all of that to say, we are still working out hard today, doing another classic threshold workout that I've done a couple different times now throughout this training block. It'll be 2-mile warm-up, 4 by 2 miles at a relative threshold effort, 2-mile cool down. So about 12 to 13 miles in total, 4 2-mile repeats at a threshold effort. That'll be that. First 2-mile rep, 12:20 there. I'm so used to warming up longer than 2 miles. It's like a shock to the system to run fast at mile 3 already. And the first mile of that 2-mile rep was like 6:16, 6:15. So the second one was like 6:05, 6:04-ish. So picked it up a little bit, found some more juice, but yeah, this is definitely a sign. Some residual fatigue, some cumulative fatigue over the past many weeks of 80 plus miles. Hopefully we can giddy up a little bit, but 2-minute recovery. Gonna take a gel, get into rep number 2. Second rep, found a bit more rhythm. 12:13 for the 2 miles, so 6:06 a mile. Felt nice and controlled. It's always a little bit harder to run reps a little bit faster on it's like loose, sort of packed gravel terrain, but it is what it is. Definitely a little bit easier on the joints, more high mileage friendly terrain. But yeah, I feel like I've maybe made some marginal gains just by choosing to run on this over, road or track for these workouts. It takes a bit more to get going sometimes. So we got 2 more reps. Rep number 3, we're off. Rep number 3 is wrapped up. 6:02 average pace, 12:05 for the 2-mile rep. So a little bit quicker on that one. Definitely going to be a bit tougher here as we turn around and do the final 2-mile rep uphill. It's always a little tougher going back. I say that pretty much every video, but it doesn't change, so that's why I keep saying it. So 2-minute recovery, finish this 4th rep strong, wrap up one of the final sizable workout Wednesdays. Rep number 4 underway. This is it. Slowest rep of the day, coming back uphill, which is understandable, but psychologically never the best feeling to end on the slowest rep. I think it was 12:24 for that final one, so definitely was not feeling mentally sharp or physically sharp towards the end there. Running a sub, whatever I ran, I think I ran like a 340 some K on like mile 22 or mile 21 of my workout for the long run workout 3 days ago, and that felt easier than that last threshold rep did. So probably some residual fatigue from that only being a couple days ago. You know, it's always going to take a little bit to recover from near 23-mile long run, but that's what the taper is for. Only a couple days into it, still running on tired legs. So it is what it is. Hopefully we start to freshen up here. There's still work to do. It's not over yet, but yeah, we'll keep pushing. At about 10.5 miles, so gonna cool down to a little over 12 miles for the day. That'll be this week's Workout Wednesday. But yeah, overall, cannot complain about that 4x2 mile threshold run. Ran it evenly effort-wise across the board. The last rep was a bit slower than the other 3, but in looking at like my power output numbers from my Stride FootPod, as well as sort of like grade adjusted pace or effort pace on the Coros, it was smooth sailing, all the same as the first 3 reps. So really happy with how I ran that workout across the board. Threshold reps, I've run so incredibly many of them this training block, more than ever before. I'm happy that the big threshold workouts are coming to a close here when it comes to this marathon training block, and definitely grateful though as well how comfortable running them on a frequent basis has made marathon effort feel. So sort of a double-edged sword there. Not the most exciting workouts all the time, but you know, it's good, strong strength work when it comes to going out on the run. So follow that up again with a 9-mile, 70-minute easy run on Thursday. Another easy run then on Friday of 8 miles, about an hour. So just kind of taking a mile, maybe 2 miles off the top of my normal easy runs, not doubling anymore. That's a pretty easy way to introduce yourself to the taper. And then Saturday, one of my final bigger long run workouts. When I say bigger long run workouts, I just mean long runs that go sort of at or beyond 2 hours. And this one was solid, 18 miles, just over 2 hours of running, average overall pace of 6:47. So one of the quickest sort of average paced long runs I have ever done after a really solid one last week. So nice to build on that. Other classic long marathon tempo type of long run workout where it was just a few miles warming up, followed by 12 miles at marathon pace, the 13th quality mile at a bit of a threshold pace, so cutting down, getting a little bit quicker on that very last mile, followed by 2 miles of cool down. So solid 18 miles on the day. Got some footage from that one here. So let's see how it went out on the run. Good morning. Currently en route to pretty much the final substantial long run. And when I say substantial, it's pretty much anything I would imagine like over 2 hours long, on the way to the trail nice and early Saturday morning. So officially 15 days out from race day, which means we are pretty much in the end territory, the sort of last opportunities to honestly realize any fitness. But at the same time, I'm not really trying to push at this point in the training block because we are only 15 days out. So just kind of trying to maintain a little bit and then really hit the taper hard over the next week. So today, last long run workout, last really like extended work at pace. So Daniel's running formula, second quality session for this week, 18 miles, if I calculate the out and back on the trail correctly in the midst of the run, but 18 or 19 miles with 13 miles of quality sandwiched in between. And those 13 miles are 6 miles at marathon effort, 1 mile at threshold effort, 6 miles at marathon effort, all, you know, in a row, no rests in between. So 13 miles straight of pretty much marathon work with 1 threshold mile in between all of that. Hopefully all goes well. It has been really warm and humid here the past couple days, like throughout the past week. I guess whatever weird late October heat wave the Midwest was experiencing has made its way to the Northeast at this point. So it's been super warm, like high 70s, low 80s Fahrenheit here the past couple days, and today is Saturday the 28th, so it's like the Halloween weekend, and it's supposed to be like the hottest Halloween weekend on record, I think people were saying. So gonna be a bit of a warmer morning long run here than I've grown accustomed to over the past couple weeks, but I think Molly Seidel on one of her podcasts, her Chicago recap, said that no marathon runner has ever said to themselves that they wish they trained more in the cold. Always looking for more adverse training circumstances than adverse racing circumstances. So I'd rather have a last warm, long run than, a warm race day. And if I do have a warm race day, then I've prepared for it. So it is what it is. Should be a good time either way. Looking forward to getting this one done and putting in some hard work for one of the final times before we really hit the taper hard and start thinking about race day a bit more. So yeah, that's today's plan. A little short of a mile and a half into the warm-up. It's weird, there's like a bunch of really warm, really cold spots on the trail today. It's like a poorly functioning hot tub out here, but regardless, it is pretty humid, but feeling good. Very short way into this. Same fueling plan as usual, same hydration plan, all that good stuff. And the Alpha Flies again, rocking the Rabbit singlet and a pair of Nike trail tights that definitely want to give a shot to on the long run, but I don't know, might be sticking with the Bandits for the marathon. So testing out gear, making my way as per usual. Warm-up is done, officially in the marathon effort section. Got down a couple sips of Scratch super high carb. Got the lemon lime flavor today, which I would say is noticeably better than the raspberry, and got down one Huma Plus gel. So fueling early, fueling often, time to get stuck into some marathon effort. About 8.25 miles into the run, just sort of locked into steady rhythm for now and feeling good. So not much to report on. I'm gonna actually shift the threshold mile to the end just so I can kind of continue to focus on that fast finish practice. But yeah, we're just gonna sit here at this very steady rhythm until then. Got 2 gels in, we're moving. All right, all of the quality effort miles are done. We are at a little over 16, so I'm gonna cool down back to the car. That was very solid, very smooth. Every one of the 12 marathon effort miles, with the exception of the first one where I just kind of warmed into it. I think that one was somewhere in the 6:36 to 6:38 range. I believe all the others were between like 6:30 and 6:34. One might have been 6:29. But yeah, all kind of in that low 6:30 range. And then the threshold effort mile at the end was 6:11. So had a little bit more gas, but wasn't exactly upset when that mile came to a close there. So yeah, that is it for the quality miles. Got down all of the almost full serving of super high carb from Scratch. Got down all 4 Huma gels again without any issues. So mission accomplished on this one. Overall, very proud of that long run effort. I was a little worried because it was a very hot Halloween weekend. That start of the weekend was the day on which I did this workout. And it was definitely warmer than it has been on most of my runs. Most of my runs these days on these mornings are somewhere between like 40 and 50 degrees. This one got up to like the mid 60s by the time I was out there, and overall though, felt really solid and was happy to sort of capitalize on one final bigger long run workout. So finished off the week then with just short of 9 miles, 70-minute easy run again to cap off the week at just about 74 miles, just over 9 hours of training, and just over 1,600 feet of vert elevation gain. So cut everything down a little bit, went from 88 miles during my peak week last week to 74 this week. Went from about 11 hours of training down to 9 hours of training, so cut a little bit off there as well. So yeah, overall reducing things slightly. Intensity was still up there, but as we get underway with the second week of the taper here, at the time of recording, officially less than 2 weeks from race day, the volume of the workouts themselves are going to start to reduce here. Probably plan on bringing it down somewhere in the 60s in terms of weekly mileage. Hopefully all of the paces continue to feel a bit more loose, a bit more comfortable as the legs recover more and more, and fatigue hopefully moves away. Going to prioritize sleep, getting in good nutrition over these next 2 weeks or so, and hopefully we get a good result on race day. So really one more week of training with workouts that can show some signs of fitness, not really contribute a ton to the fitness from here on out, only 2 weeks out, but yeah, definitely excited as we approach race day. Really happy with how this training block has gone, and we'll see how things work out here very soon. So that is it for another week of marathon training. Hopefully you enjoyed the 2 workouts from this week, and yeah, we'll catch up next time. Peace.